Okay, so hello everyone, my name is Julie and I was in the cookies team for the last 3 years. So, to begin this presentation, I would like you to imagine the following situation. You are opening your browser, you are going on a website like snap.com, and then what will happen? What will be the first thing to pop on your screen? It will be a cookie consent banner. Ta-da! Then you will have 3 choices. Either you decide to accept them all, or to reject them all, or to choose to select only a few ones. But do you really know what is the impact of these choices on the advertising, but on your global user experience? This is the question that I will try to answer in this presentation. Sorry. Okay, so the first thing to know about that is what are cookies and why do we need them? So let's deep dive into cookies. So why do we need cookies? We need them for at least 4 reasons. The first one is session management. For example, remembering your credential, remembering your baskets, because you don't want to log every time you go on a website. So it's quite useful. The second one is for analytics. So it's more for developers like me. It's to know, for example, how much time did you spend on a page? Because maybe it's not very understandable. Which pages are not visited a lot, and so on. Then you have the personalization. For example, remember here your language, or your theme, or I don't know. And then the last one, it's for advertising. It allows to track the user activity over multiple websites. Okay, so now that you know why do we need cookies, it will be easier to understand what are they. So what's a cookie? It's not that thing. It's a key value info, and usually it's data that are very, very small. And so it looks like that. And the first property is that it has a lifetime. So it can be persistent or just for a session. So if you close the browser, that's it, it will be deleted, or it can be persistent, and then it will stay for the lifetime that you set. But the most interesting properties, it's the scope or the domain. Because each time your browser will contact an URL, if he knows this URL, if it is in the known domain, then we will send automatically the data associated to the cookie. So it's quite useful. So you might already heard about cookies in 2 terms. The first one is first-party cookies, and the second one is third-party cookies. So now that you have the properties and the purpose, it will be easier to understand these 2 terms. So first-party cookies, what are the purpose? The purpose is to improve the user experience. So it's the 3 first purpose that I show, so session management, analytics, personalization. And the value can be anything, literally, so authentication token, I don't know, language. So the domain, it means that this information, this data about your user experience will be sent each time you visit the website. So it's only for this website you are visiting. And then there is no lifetime. You have to know that the lifetime depends on your browser. So for the first-party cookie, actually, there is no restriction for Chrome. I don't know about the other one. And then you have the third-party cookie. This one, you might have heard a lot about them because they are used for advertising. So their value, it's just an identifier, and it allows to have a common identifier for all the websites that you will be visiting. And it is what allows advertising company to track your activity on the web. So the domain, it's often an advertising company like Criteo.com. And for the lifetime, it has a restriction on all browsers, but for Chrome in particular, it's 13 months. So if you have to remember one thing about this part, is that cookies for advertising, it's just a user identification, an identifier. And it looks literally like this one. It's a random thing, nothing particular at all. So now that you know about cookies, maybe it could be interesting to know about advertising, how those advertising works on internet. Actually, one thing that few people knows about that is that it is a first step auction, meaning that all advertising companies will have to say how much do we want to pay to display an ad for this particular user. So let's go. How do we link the cookies identification to something useful to compute this information? So you are a user, you are visiting lafnac.com, and you are seeing a laptop. Simple. Then la Fnac will contact an application from Criteo. It is a tracking application, and because we know the domain, we will forward the browser will forward the cookie identifier. So we will be able to identify the user and said, okay, we will write the information about this event. The user saw a laptop in Criteo cookies. Then when the user will go on, for example, Le Monde will want to show an ad, and it will contact an auctioneer. We will have to compute the value of the ad we want to display to the user. And to compute the value, to know how much we want to pay, we will just fetch the information in the Criteo cookies, and this will guide our decision. Then we will answer with a price. I want to bid this amount to display an ad. And if we are the winner, we will have the right to display an ad. So we will have this beautiful banner with laptop. Okay, so I talk about cookies, I'll talk about Criteo cookies, but actually they're not the same. So cookies on the browser, they are limited on size and number, so you cannot store a lot of information in it. And they contain usually for advertising only the identifier. But for Criteo cookies, we are not, so they are stored on our own servers, and they are no limited on size or number, because actually we can just buy more server if we want, but we won't because it's expensive. And because it can be confusing to have the same word for two different things, I will use another terms. I forget to say that in cookies at Criteo, we are storing, obviously, information about the user browser history. And this is why I choose to use another term for cookies at Criteo. We will call them brownies, for browser navigation history. And I needed this as the third point, otherwise it was complicated. Okay. So now let's dive into brownies. To understand which kind of information we need to store in these brownies, we need to understand why are we making some ads. And actually, for that, I will rely on the marketing funnel to understand what can be a brand objective. The first step when you are a brand is that you want that your customers are aware that you exist. So for that, we will have some ads that will be for awareness. This means that we want to optimize the number of time we will display an ad for the given brand. This means that the user will know that the brand exists, so it's good. Then once you know about the brand, maybe you want to visit the website or the shop to know which kind of product it can offer. This is acquisition. This means that we want the user to click on the banner, on the ad, and it will go on the brand website. And finally, you have the conversion. The conversion, why? Because we want to have a sale at the end. So we will do some retargeting. We know, for example, that I saw a laptop on La Fnac. Then I will show ad for La Fnac. I will click on it, and then I will purchase the laptop and will do sales. And there are actually a fourth step. It is loyalty. If you already bought a product and you are convinced that it is good, maybe you will purchase it again. But we are not doing this kind of ads at Criteo, or at least I don't know about that. So now that you know about these three steps, you will be able to understand which kind of information we store about the user browser. Because you might be scared when I said, okay, we have information about you, the user history. But don't worry, it's quite it can deprecate, it can deceptive. So which kind of information can we have? We can have the counter about the number of times you saw a given product. Why do we need this information? It's because we can detect potential sales. You can have also the timestamp of the last time we show you an ad. Why we need that? It's because we won't show you, I don't know, 4 times in a row the same ad for the same product. It's just not useful. If you didn't click the first time, I don't see why you will click it the fourth time. You can have the list of user category. So for example, are you a shoe lover, a pet owner, etc. This allows to acquire new customer, so to do the consideration phase. And finally, this one is quite complicated. It's, for example, the number of time we show you an ad since you visit the last partner. It's just, for example, to detect if you are not interested anymore in the brand. So I put you some kind of information, and you can see or not that there are 2 kind of categories. The first information are quite simple to compute because they are based only on the event that we received. So we can compute it fast in near real time, and they are simple. So we will store them in online brownies. The other one are more complex. They require more computation, and they are based sometimes on previous events with some algebra. So we will compute them with some latency, and it will be stored in offline brownies. If I put a small summary, you have your brother that will contact a Criteo tracker. It will update in real time the online brownies. Then it will compute with some latency the offline brownies that are more accurate. And then when we will want to know how much we want to pay to display an ad, we will be able to fetch the 2 information and have fresh data, but accurate. So now you have all the keys to answer this question. But because I'm a nice woman, I will tell you the answer. So what is the impact if you reject all the cookies? Maybe you think that you will see no ads at all. That's not true. So if you don't have cookies, what does it mean? We can't identify you, okay? So it means we cannot do personalized ads. And that's all, because actually we can do other kind of ads. For example, contextual. Imagine you are reading an article about sport. Maybe we can show an ad about sportswear. You might be interesting because you love sports. But in practice, what will happen is this kind of thing. You will have a paywall because usually it's bringing way less money to do contextual advertising than personalized advertising. So that's why a lot of websites will force you to decide between advertising cookies and or pay a little subscription. And that's it for me. So thank you. And if you have to remember one thing about this talk, is that cookie consent will impact the kind of ads you will see, not the number. And that's it.